What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome in. I think we're like at episode 4 or whatever, or something like that, or 5 or somewhere on episodes here. So, welcome into another episode of the Mock Draft Duel. Sam, how are you doing this evening, man? You are muted. There we go.
Well, I was doing better until I made that mistake. So this is my first time doing a live show. Appreciate everyone bearing with me here. Really nervous. I'm
I
doing
did
pretty
it on
well.
the first
Busy,
episode.
but
I was like, I was rolling on our first episode, and it was just like, Jacob, nobody can hear you, bro. like this is what's going.
it's like, man, I had the best mock of all time, but no one heard it.
I once did a live show from like the parking lot at a training camp practice, like I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago. I got like 8 minutes in and it had been muted the whole time. And it was and I just deleted it. I was like, we're just not gonna do that. But welcome in, guys, to another episode of the OBR Mock Draft Duel. I'm Jacob Roach. That's Sam Penix. We are here again to go through a couple more mock drafts. I'm going to actually use Pro Football Network Simulator this week
Oh,
because
getting
they
weird with it
updated.
today.
Well, they updated it yesterday. So they said they updated it yesterday, and they've got a new board and kind of like move some things around and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I figured I would try that since we haven't used that on this program.
Right.
So I figured I would go with that. So we will go for
All
there.
right.
Sam, do you have anything interesting, any tidbits before we start?
Um, I mean, there was a football game last night. I don't know if
Yeah.
you like paid attention to that because I didn't really. I think I watched like 10 minutes of it total. Um, I think my biggest takeaway was like that team structure is exactly what the Browns were trying to do up until like 2021, end of 2021. So the vision is there, but
I
obviously some things changed. So
I listened to Locked On NFL Scouting with Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino on. I love that show, and they really put out some really cool things, really good points about the Super Bowl, where they were just like Howie Roseman just drafts the best players. Like he's take. And what I mean by that is like Jalen Carter falls to him, and he's like, I'm not going to overthink that. He's a really, really good player. He's the best player on the board. I'm taking him. He takes two corners, one of which everybody told me I was crazy and that he would have to play safety and that he would be a returner only. And he had a pick six yesterday, but whatever. So like, but the thing is, it's there. It's that true, like, take all the talent and figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, take the most talent, figure it out. Like, that's the argument for Abdul Carter. That's the argument for Travis Hunter and things like that. It's like maybe it's not the biggest need yet. And yes, you've got to mix some needs with your draft picks as well. But like, yeah, man, it's just like, let me draft a bunch of really good players. Use free agency to fill in some spots here and there. And like, my favorite thing is they draft Jalen Reagor and it doesn't work out, right? We're not gun shy. They were like, I'm gonna go right after Devontae Smith the next year. So they weren't like, oh, we
right.
this massive miss at the position. We're no. There was a really good wide receiver on the board when they came up the next year, and they took it. And it's just, I think, a really great. Bill, yeah. Bill says the Ravens do it too. You're right. The Ravens do it too. The Eagles and Ravens don't overthink it. They draft the best guys available. Yes. And that is why Howie and what's the guy's name in Baltimore since Ozzie Newsome left?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Okay, all right. We're gonna do this.
Ravens GM do the old Madden thing where they just didn't have the rights to the coaches' names.
Eric DaCosta. There we go.
Yeah.
My favorite
Another
was that they
too.
Good.
Another thing about the Eagles is like you're saying with guys like Reagor. I mean, they've had their fair share of misses. Reagor. They did the whole Carson Wentz trade up and then sign him to a huge deal, and that flopped. And then their big free agent signing from last offseason, Bryce Huff, was like 34 million over 2 years, and he wasn't even active for the Super Bowl. And they can recover from these things because they don't feel pressured to go all in on this what's perceived as the biggest need. They just continue to draft really good players like they had. Like Milton Williams is going to get paid a handsome amount this offseason. They took Jalen Carter after him. They already had Fletcher Cox before, and then he retired. Another there's just a constant pipeline of good talent because they continually stockpile that because they have the security in their jobs. Where it's like, hey, we can plan 1, 2, 3 years down the road and still be competitive now. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a really sustainable model, and you just kind of have to like commit to that and stay committed to that in order for it to work. Plus, have the right guys making the picks.
And it helps not to trade a bunch of picks for a quarterback who ends up not being able to
That
play.
that does help. Fun fact, yeah.
that one. All right, all right, man. Like I
I'm
started
gonna
us off.
yeah. That's I'll deal with that later. We'll make something.
I've got some conversations that I have with other people. All right, man. I started us off last week, so let's get the festivities, guys. If you got questions, I saw some questions about who I love in the draft. We got some of that stuff. Can we send Andrew Berry to a summer camp to learn more with Howie? Yeah, that'd be great. I think the Browns were doing that until they did the Watson trade. Like, I think that was what they were doing. They were like trying to mirror best available, and like, because people will always dog them about the Jed Wills, but like people loved Jed Wills in that class. Like, let's
He
just
was yeah. He was my OT too. Like he was. I thought he was great, and he was great in college, and he had it all. He has it all. It's just you can't, without really understanding who someone is as a person, you're
yeah.
not gonna know. Because like, as far as I can remember, there weren't those red flags, warning signs about work ethic or on-field effort with him in college. Like I remember him pancaking guys to the ground after the whistle. Like there was one play where he just straight up sat on another player in the
Yeah.
middle of the play just to like get him to the ground. And it was like, that's awesome. I love that mentality. And then it just disappeared in the pros.
And like as soon as he gets drafted too, he's like tweeting at OBJ like, "You tell me how long you need to get open." Like I was hyped. I was hyped over
Apparently,
that, man.
apparently that was exactly like 1.6 seconds, and then that's the cutoff, and then
Oh, ole. All right, man. I will throw you up on the board and let's get these festivities rolling.
all right. I think I did. I took Sanders last time. I don't want. I'm gonna be boring. Like Carter is the best player in the draft. I mean, how many times can you say it? Like I'm gonna do a deep dive with some film and some numbers on him at some point on the OBR, but like the guy's just a stud, and he is like, I know that the term gets thrown around, but this is the worst he's ever gonna be.
Mhm.
And like the sky is absolutely the limit for this player. And I think obviously, I mean, the likelihood that Garrett gets traded, I think, is pretty low. But if you were going to find a prospect who you thought, okay, this he has a legitimate shot at replacing at least most of Garrett's impact, it'd be Carter. And it just so happens that you may, depending on what the Titans do, you may be in a position to just take him. I think you'll have trade offers to move up to 2, but like I am perfectly content to just sit there and take a absolute stud.
I continue. I got asked this question on Sports for CLE last week. I continue to say that that's my number one preference. Like my number one preference remains um, be to be Abdul Carter. A quick couple questions we got. Is Damian Pierce a guy you guys would look to bring in? I like Damian Pierce. I'd be fine with that. Yeah, I don't see.
He's a good player when he's actually like used properly.
Right, right. Do you think the Eagle? Do you look at the Eagles and just want the Browns to invest in the lines heavily? I'm okay with one of the later quarterbacks. I think I am. Yeah. This is the draft to invest, especially in the defensive line and then in the interior of the offensive
Mm-hmm.
line.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you get one of Sam. We've talked about it. Those mid round quarterbacks. We've talked about them ad nauseum on this show, and we're going to here in just a little bit too. I'm sure. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so I'm going to make for my first one. I'm actually going to go with Travis Hunter. And a lot of it because you are going with Abdul Carter. I don't want to go with Abdul Carter, but I want to make a case for Travis Hunter. I have, depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching this live, it's not out on the OBR.com. But if you're watching on Tuesday, my draft profile on Travis Hunter is out. I went back and rewatched all of his wide receiver tape and his corner tape. And I feel very strongly that he is the most dynamic playmaker at wide receiver in this draft. I really think what he does after the catch, his acceleration, his top speed, he's got this crazy body control where like he'll run these crossers and as he's getting ready to catch, he'll slam on the brake and then just go diagonally back across the field. And I'm like, what like what are you how do you he just has insane body control. Like he's kind of still a little bit raw at both positions because of I think the way he's
Yep.
split time. Like
Exactly.
and he's lean. He doesn't have like you worry about him in like press man coverage, but his athleticism, like sometimes the physical
Devontae
guys
Smith is fine. Like he's gonna be fine.
exactly. And it's like, does he struggle with the physicality and contested catches? Sure, but he has the athleticism to jump over them. Like the
Mhm.
athleticism to just jump over
Yeah.
them. And I think he can play some corner. I think he could potentially be a safety, whatever. But when I watch Travis Hunter, I see a difference maker in the pass game. And for
Yep.
me, for that reason, I go Travis Hunter in this draft.
I think maybe like all the things you listed are reasons to love him, but I think the thing I love the most about him is just like he's a football player. He's not just an athlete.
Yeah.
Like he just has that feel for the game where you're like, okay, that guy knows exactly what he's doing,
Mhm.
and I trust him, like regardless of what the situation is, because he just knows how to play football. And I think if you're able to put him full time at receiver, those athletic gifts and that just like sixth sense on how to play the sport are just gonna blossom even more. And I think, like you said, difference maker on offense is the right way to put it because he has so much talent.
He won the award for the best wide receiver and best defensive player in the same year. And the Heisman. Like
Yeah.
on top of that, he also won. But yeah, dude, his football IQ is crazy. Like when he's playing corner, he's running the routes for those wide receivers from time to time. And it's because he's also a freaking wide receiver. And so like it's I know he's not going to be playing like 1,400 snaps like he did in college, but like, man, it's just the physical stuff at wide receiver.
Mhm.
Um, can we have our version of Sonic and Knuckles? We have Knuckles. Yeah. I like that. The Sonic and Knuckles comparison at wide. Yeah, I like that. Don't. Yeah, this I love this. Don't make it difficult. Draft Travis Hunter. He studies the game well, and we won't have to worry about his off the field stuff. He just loves ball. Yeah, like you said. I mean, it's playing off what you said, Sam. He's flat out a football player.
Mhm.
All right, man. I will kick it back to you.
All right. I think like every single time that I've done a mock, I've always gone offensive line with my second pick. And I'm going to switch it up a little bit because Omarion Hampton is available.
Whoa.
And I just really like him. I think he's going to be a really good NFL running back. And it reminds me of 2018 when Nick Chubb was available top of the second round and the Browns just added him. And it's like, this guy's a stud. I know he's a running back, but and we'll talk about what I'm going to do in a little bit about the offensive line. But Hampton, I think, has just an all-around skill set, and I think there's pretty much minimal weaknesses, if any, to his game. And I think he can be a real legitimate RB1, especially for a team who needs to get back to its roots with running the ball. And you don't know what the rest of your RB room is going to look like. So I think Hampton is going to be your frontline starter, and I think he can be a really good one.
He can be a workhorse. Like if you're looking find you a workhorse, I think Omarion Hampton can be that workforce running back. And it's like, and like, we'll talk about it as we move along. But like I love double dipping in this class. Like I love it. I do like this comment.
You got to.
Hunter doesn't.
Got to.
Yeah. Exactly. If Hunter doesn't work out at one position, try him at the other. Yeah, it's like you can definitely. Like that's fine with me. All right, so Travis Hunter. I am so tempted to take Colston Loveland if he was there, the tight end from Michigan. He's my tight end too. Taking him there would be insane.
You got to run to the podium for that, but like I don't see that happening.
No, I know, and I don't see Kenneth Grant going there, still being there. I won't be weird and do the. Ooh, this is interesting because this board is a lot different than the boards.
Yeah, yours fell very interestingly.
Like, here's the thing. I still look at Jalen Milroe at 33 and think, a little bit of pressure, not being a first rounder, not being that second overall pick, being a developmental guy. I think he's got some crazy traits.
Brad Ward is not going to be thrilled, though. Did anyone tell him to check NFL news because Kenny Pickett just won a Super Bowl?
Oh no! Don't tell. Did you see Ken Dorsey? Ken Dorsey's getting an OC job in Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at tackle. I love Josh Connerly. Look at a wide receiver. I'm not crazy about Trey Harris. You know what? I'm going to go with a different. Should I look at defensive line? Shamar Stewart's not going to be there. That would be insane. You know what? There is an offside chance that people overthink Kenneth Grant and he does fall there. You should look. I mean, you can see it here on what Pro Football Network has on him. You should not be this size, 6'3", 340, and be considered a great athlete.
Right.
And for that reason, I think he may fall, or not fall, but he may go very high. But it's an incredibly deep defensive line draft, and that could push these guys down. So for that reason, if Kenneth Grant is there, the other defensive tackle from Michigan, I think that would just be a slam dunk.
I agree. That would be that's like one of the best case scenarios, I feel like, because he's a stud, and I think he fits exactly what we need on the line. I think he and Hall could be a really good duo for the future, for sure.
When I got
all right. I'm trying to do my let me zoom in. I'm trying to do my patented get rid of all the late round picks.
We were, just so we were clear, we were all trash talking about Sam getting rid of all of his late round picks in the Slack today. But I respect the move.
You're like, want them.
It's like, I'm not doing it.
The other 31 teams have caught on. They're like, no, we're not. You're gonna keep them, and you're gonna like it.
You're gonna.
All right. Am I gonna have to go? All right. So this is why I wanted to move up. We have two.
Okay.
Well, 3, 4. I mean, we have multiple offensive lineman prospects that I'm interested in here, and I didn't want to risk. Didn't want to risk any of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know. getting sniped. So I think Milam is the best offensive lineman on the board, but
I think so.
is he a tackle? That's the question. He's got the short arms, which worry me to the point where I might be more likely to go with Ursery or Williams. Now, Ursery is the more pro-ready guy, like a guy you could probably think about potentially giving the starting job to as a rookie.
Yep.
Williams, probably not, but he has loads and loads of potential.
Such a high ceiling.
So if the Browns found a starting caliber veteran left tackle in free agency, even if it's a stopgap like Cam Robinson or something, then I'm much more likely to go with Williams and be like, okay, I'm betting on this guy's traits.
Yep.
But because we don't have free agency done yet, I'm going to go with Ursery and bet on his size and his quick feet for his size translating. And then if that doesn't happen at tackle, I think I'm still getting a really good guard. So I'm happy with this here.
Ursery is very similar to Kenneth Grant. You should not be able to move like that at that size. You just shouldn't. I mean,
Yeah, we'll
if you're
take the
looking like,
unfair athletes. That's fine.
yeah, yeah. And if you're looking to instantly improve your run game, Ursery is your guy.
Which
Question about
are
yeah. Question about Harold Fannin. I think he's fantastic. Yeah, it's a
great
two
player.
thumbs up.
Also, what was he? 6'3" and 3/8 or something, and 238 pounds.
Yeah.
I saw. I never put this together, but someone mentioned how he's very similar in size, like percentage difference from Brock Bowers, and that guy went super high and just had the best rookie season for a tight end ever. So, just saying.
We're just saying. Don't worry. We're not doing anything crazy. We're not doing anything
It's
crazy.
a
All right.
suggestion, direction.
It's just something. I like to start and look at what I'm at offensive line. I like Gray Zabel a ton. He's a little bit older, but I think he's a guard. Holland Pierce is enormous, 6'8", 342.
I still got to
fun.
watch him.
You'll have a good time. Let me just put it that way. You'll have a good time when you watch him. Wide receiver, we're still looking. I'm not looking. I like Elikai Manor. I couldn't see him here at 67.
No, he's too good to be here.
Mason Gunner Helm. I'm like a sneaky Elijah Arroyo guy. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. They're gonna call me a homer. Everybody can call me a homer, but I love Travion Henderson so much. I keep just moving him up higher and higher, but I just think you got to get someone to be that power guy. Not that he can't run with power, because he runs with plenty of power. And I think I really loved watching him and Quinshon Judkins block for each other this year as the year went on. But it's just like, you need a home run hitter that gets on the outside, gets on his horse, has a third gear, and maybe it's a little early to take Travion Henderson. I keep moving him up my board, but I'm going to take Travion Henderson here and just get even more explosive on offense.
I think that's one that's not too unrealistic, and I think that'd be a home run pick at 67, personally.
Dewan Jones, right. I heard he's looking good and lost a lot of weight. He's down to like 350. Oh, cool. I would love that if he was in good shape.
I hope he can recover. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That's the hope. All right. One thing I don't like about PFF Simulator is there's no way to see players on the board without being on the clock. So
Oh
that
yeah.
that makes it more difficult for trade up purposes, but that's just improve your product, guys. It's great, but you can take it up a notch.
I'm very impressed they added the my picks thing now this year because you used to not be able to see all of the picks
Right.
you had already made, and I'd be like,
You would
did I take a running back yet? Like,
you're
I'm
like,
like trying
man,
to
I ended up
figure it
with
out. Like,
five quarterbacks. How did that happen?
ah, I gotta take better
All
notes.
right. Oh, interesting. Harold Fannin is on the board. We are just talking about him.
Mm,
I don't think he's lasting to 94. He's too good.
that's one of those like you just hope people overthink it because he's from a small
Hmm.
school. You're like, I just
Right.
overthink it, and let me not overthink it.
Exactly. So there's a couple different options that I like here. I know I've already taken a running back, but I feel like 94, 102, I think is where I would like to double dip.
Okay.
And I really like Devin Neal.
Devin Neal, uh, he feels like just the patience and vision. It just
Yeah.
and the acceleration.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
feels like a glove.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
I just I I love running backs who just know what they're seeing and what's going to happen and are patient enough to wait to make their main cut and just plant and go until that perfect moment when that hole is just opening up and then they can explode through, and that's Neil. Love watching that guy.
Yeah, you got to let your blocks form in that wide zone system, and I think he does a great job of doing exactly that. Okay, let's see what we've got. I do want to. I mean, I think I think I need to look at what offensive line looks like here because I'm starting to get a little bit later, and I don't want to get too crazy and wait too long. Um, I missed out on Gray Zabel. I was going to try to potentially stash him. Hmm, it's a little early for those tackles. So kind of lean away. Don't love what's going on. I already got a wide receiver. Why I keep forgetting I took Travis Hunter, so I keep like forgetting that I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so let me look at defense. I think like corner's kind of a sneaky need. Um, Cy Alexander, is he an older player? Why don't I know? I think he's an older player. It's one of those things where I have to Google it real quick. I like, and I can never remember. I'm always like, how old are you? I don't know.
I don't
Whatever.
remember.
We're not gonna find out. It's gonna be all right. Um, let's see what we got at edge. You know what? And maybe it's early for Braden Swinson, but Braden Swinson had a really nice Senior Bowl.
Hmm.
Um, the LSU pass rusher 6'4", 255. You know, I, I think he's got a little. He's got some power. He's got some explosiveness. He's got just some traits I would like to kind of bank on. Maybe it's a little early for that, but I think I'm going to go that direction.
I think late third is when you start getting into the range where you're betting on traits. So I think that's entirely fair. Speaking of traits, Mello Dotson is here. He's a little bit of a longer guy. Like you said, corner is a sneaky need, and I think they can use. I personally think the fourth round is like the perfect spot for a corner because I think you'll probably have dealt with most of your bigger needs up until that point, and that's where a lot of the positions like offensive line and edge, not necessarily running back, but definitely offensive line, especially tackle. That's where the talent starts kind of drop off. And I think there'll be a couple
Mm-hmm.
solid corner prospects. I think I'm going to go with Dotson here.
You're going to go Dotson. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come back on the board. So it's to two players for me. I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. The other Kansas corner, I like him quite a bit. Um, but I kind of lean towards a guy that you are big on that I really like. I think I got to go with Big Anthony Belton, the left tackle
That's some
from North Carolina State.
great
Like,
value there.
I think he's going to climb more. I'm interested to see what he does at the combine. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those guys that I'm very interested to see how that works out for him. But yeah, I'm gonna take a left tackle here at 103.
All right. So I just did it. I just traded all my picks away for a mid fourth. So I'm going to end up with a solid 6 players. I think that's a fairly good sized draft class. 6 players in the top 125 here. So just got to decide who the last one's going to be. Jackson Dart.
I got
Jackson
all these
Dart.
picks.
I traded all my picks for Jackson Dart. I mean, if we're being honest, this is probably where you would take him. But, I mean, from everything we're hearing, he's going to be long gone. So I haven't done tight end. I haven't done safety. I haven't done receiver. And I haven't done interior defensive line. So I think those are going to be my 4 target positions here. It's not OT. I would take another tackle, though, if there were a good one. What else did I say? Deal. So, I don't know. Aeneas Peebles, do you think he lasts this long? Is that realistic? I know he had a good Senior Bowl. It probably lifts him up a bit.
He might.
Shamar Turner, too.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's the injury, but I mean, maybe that even, I don't know. Does that work in his favor or not? I don't know with this team.
It could be one of those things.
There's a couple different options. I think I'm going to say Shamar Turner because I think if he's healthy here, it's probably a pretty easy pick at 125. So we'll assume until proven otherwise that he's healthy because my job isn't on the line taking him here. So we're just gonna do that.
So you can just do it. All right. So now this is the part of the show where I make a bunch of picks in a row, and then we grade our drafts.
Maybe I won't do this to you one week.
Well, next week there's a good chance we'll have a guest stop by next week. So,
all right.
So it won't matter that much. 165.
Does his name rhyme with Leica Boach?
No.
And he probably doesn't have a mustache.
No,
it's the reverse disguise. No glasses, no mustache.
Yeah, right. Just beard, just Amish beard. Just go like that. I like Curtis Rourke here at 165. If you're looking at quarterback, you haven't taken one. Older prospect, but you 70% of his passes this year, kind of a rhythm and timing. He had a really good start to the year under pressure, but he's smart, does a good job reading defenses. I think he can operate well in a Kevin Stefanski style system. It'd just be a high-end backup that can win some games if need be.
And that torn ACL too that he played with, that's a factor.
Still the craziest thing ever. It makes so much sense because I watched him at Ohio University up close a lot. And not that I thought he was a freak of a runner, but he was a runner. Like he used his legs, more than a lot of times it was to extend plays and things like that. But he used them. And then everybody was like, oh, he hasn't ran at all. He's a complete statue. And I'm like, it's not that, like, when I hadn't really watched, because I didn't watch him till early season. I started getting into him a month or so into the season. I'm like, that's not what I remember. And then you're like, oh, he played all year on a torn ACL. You remember when Johnny Dixon, was that his name? He did it for Oregon, the quarterback. He eventually went to the Steelers. Something Dixon. He was a running quarterback, and he played like 6 games on a torn ACL.
Yeah. Something Dixon.
Okay, so let's see here. So we've got our wide receiver. Let's see what we got at corner, because that's kind of a need. We got a corner. Okay, I don't know why Jacob Parrish is 227 on their board.
Yeah. Upton Stout at
I won't take him. I'm going to take Upton Stout because I think there's a chance, because he's undersized. He's a smaller guy, but he's played outside. He's played nickel. He found a home at nickel this year. I just love his physicality. Like, you're going to be like, oh, he's like, let me see. I think about 178. He does not play like he's 178. Like, he'll go through your chest. He's got.
It's not Emmanuel Forbes,
right? But it does feel kind of like a Jim Schwartz corner to me. And so I'll do that.
Feisty nickel corners. You gotta love those guys.
I love me a good feisty nickel corner. I gotta check back and make sure we don't have anything. All right. Jalen Noel, the other wide receiver from Iowa State. I like him. Let's see. I'm not gonna take Seth McLaughlin again, but I want to. I just did it last week. But I will look and see what the guard position looks like here. I do like Joshua Gray quite a bit from Oregon State. Has the inside-outside flexibility. He was better this year at guard. Had played left tackle for them the last couple of years. 6'3", 300 pounds. I think he moves relatively well and has that kind of position flexibility that I think Andrew Berry covets.
Willie Lampkin is awesome. Like, talk about fun to watch.
Yeah.
He just, I don't know how that size works.
I haven't taken a tight end, huh? Oh boy. If Brenningstool's there, Brenningstool just feels like a guy that like never reached what he could do.
No, he'll be a better pro than he was in college. There's too much there.
It reminds you of what you see from Luke Lachey as well, where you're like, you could be a guy. You just didn't put it together. You got the size, the athleticism, the reliable hands. And I think a part of Brenningstool's thing was Cade Klubnik was developing with him.
Yeah.
Like, and they were both kind of developing and growing at the same time. And for that reason, I think that you didn't quite get I did take my corner. Okay. All right. Am I thinking of calling Oliver? No, he's not. I'm thinking of. I would take Jack Kaiser here if he was there. I think he's like 24, but he's like the dual
6th round. Yeah, you can bend the rails a little bit.
I just think he flies all over the field and just plays with like his hair on fire, and I think he'd be tremendous on special teams. Like, and that's part of what I'm looking at when I'm looking at some of these guys later in the drafts. Like, hey, can you play specials? Like, do we just like mix it up and take Shiloh here?
It's like you can do the clickbait title. Sanders to the Browns.
And then really it's like pick what am I at? 217 and it's Shiloh Sanders. Or people would be so mad at me. They'd be like, what are you doing? Let's see. What other running backs do I still got here?
Yeah, there's some names there.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Donovan Edwards. Like, it was a massively disappointing year this year for him, but like, this is a dude that they expected to have a massive year at Michigan this
There's
year.
there's some excellent tape from him out there.
Yeah, you
I
go
I
watch his.
continue to be intrigued by him on day 3. I know all the Buckeyes fans are gonna hate it, but I think he can be something at the next level.
Yeah, I'm willing to take a chance on that at 217. Like, and just be like, okay, this is a guy that at one point people were like, he's the
Yep.
next dude. I mean, he was on the cover of the new college football game for a reason. Like,
He was the front and center guy.
yeah,
Yep.
everybody
And the
wanted
thing is, like,
everybody wanted to make sure you saw him.
yeah, at this point in the draft, you're looking for anything that you can see in a guy, any singular trait or any singular past performance or experience where you're like, okay, we might be able to do something with this, or this might translate a little bit. And for him, you have a dominant season in the Big Ten. So like that's absolutely worth taking a shot on.
I just tried to slide a kicker under the radar as Mr. Irrelevant. We will see if the listeners and watchers of this podcast call me out on it or not. I feel like I had a weird draft. We'll get get to it. But here is Sam's mock draft for you.
Yeah, so we start out with Abdul Carter, edge from Penn State, the obvious pick there at 2. 33, we mix it up a little bit with Omarion Hampton from North Carolina to be the new starting running back, and moved up from the early 3rd round pickup to pick number 62 to get Ariante Ursary, the tackle from Minnesota. Then at 94, we double dip with running back with Devin Neal from Kansas. And then at 102, we double dip with Kansas Jayhawks with Mello Dots in the corner. And then we trade all of our remaining picks up to 125 to land Shamar Turner, the defensive tackle from Texas A&M.
I like it. I like it. I learned today that I feel like Pro Football Network's board is kind of weird, and I don't like it. So I took Travis Hunter because I think he's the most dynamic playmaker at wide receiver in this class. That's where I would draft him. If he doesn't want to be a wide receiver, then I wouldn't draft him. You know what I mean? Like if he's like, I want to primarily be a corner, like I'd be like, maybe not. But I think can be a very, very special playmaker.
Jacob Roach just said that he would not draft Travis Hunter. So I don't know what this guy is doing.
I did technically say that. Kenneth Grant, the big hulking athletic defensive tackle from Michigan, Travion Henderson, the Ohio State running back, who I think is a home run hitter, Braden Swinson, who I think is going to continue to climb up boards, got some size, speed, power. Really like that. Anthony Belton, the big hulking left tackle from North Carolina State, Curtis Rourke, the game managing quarterback from Indiana, Upton Stout, the nickel corner from Western Kentucky, Joshua Gray, the guard from Oregon State, but also has some experience playing left tackle, Jake Brenningstool, the still raw but toolsy tight end from Clemson. Jack Kaiser, the kind of fly all over the place linebacker from Notre Dame. Donovan Edwards kind of had a disappointing season as a running back with Michigan, but I'm willing to bet on what I've seen in the past. And then I'm just going to take a kicker because I feel like taking a kicker. And I wanted to do that.
Sauls is a good kicker last name. That's my analysis.
Yeah, no, I've never seen him kick.
He's
I'm not
probably
going to sit here and lie to
kicked
you
the
guys.
ball pretty well.
Yeah, I would say he probably knows a thing or two about kicking a ball through a goalpost. I feel pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we had it was fun, engaging, interesting 45 minutes. I want to get to Jeffrey's comment before we go out because he said something. I'm not against them bringing in Aaron Rodgers, then getting Jalen Milroe in the draft, because maybe then Milroe can watch and develop for maybe a year or two. Yeah, I don't want the circus around Aaron Rodgers. Like, I really, really don't want that after the Deshaun Watson situation. But your idea, your premise here, I do like. I do like the my guy keeps being Jacoby Brissett. Like, I keep going, oh, give me Jacoby Brissett and a rookie. Like, that's my guy. But the whole idea, let me get like a veteran so you can take Milroe and let him grow. I can get behind something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he Milroe should not be under any pressure to start right away. Like, he needs to be treated like a developmental quarterback prospect, because that's what he is. And I think if you can do that and you can give him time to learn the game and work on his issues, I think he can be something. And like, you see people comparing him to Jalen Hurts all the time, just because of, I mean, they have some different similarities in terms of, college path. Like, they went to Alabama, they're similar skill sets and everything, but Hurts had some of the same weaknesses that Milroe had. And you can make a pretty good argument that Hurts is not as talented as Milroe is, either with his legs or with his arm. So I don't know. I don't know Jalen Hurts' hand size off the top of my head. Willing to bet it's probably bigger than Milroe's. I don't know how much that's going to make a difference, but there's a path to Milroe becoming a quality NFL starter, and I think, his running ability alone adds a new dimension to your offense, which I think is going to be valuable. So
Yeah, his floor as a runner is, it's nice. When you're looking at it, trying to figure it out, you're like, hey, his floor as a run. That's like when I'm talking about Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. I always talk about, I think he's the safest player in this class because his floor as a run defender is high. And it's like, I know Milroe can be an effective runner at the next level. So I know he can at least do some of that, that I'm at least intrigued by it to potentially give it a try, that sort of thing. So,
yep.
well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Make sure you go check out all the stuff going on over at theobr.com. Daily mock drafts Monday through Saturday. I got player profiles every Tuesday. Travis Hunter comes out this week. With some film add in there. It was kind of a weird draft for me. I was a little bit all over the place, but that's what we do. We like to just run these crazy simulations and have fun with you guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight, and we will see you guys again next week. If I can hit the button.